checks all the government contracts and agreement to say, we are hearing something which is not good here, to reinforce you in doing. But I'm happy you have said, if the $225 million is there, come. If it is not there, leave us where we are. We look for another investor, or we reach a point where government can look for the $225 million, invest in UTEL, and we run it 100% or something like that. I think there now we are in agreement with you, because that was only our concern, and then the right person to discuss that with is you. And should there be need, I think as committee will still invite you and we engage with all the team and see that we get the best, because our point now is not throwing away what we have to private people, because there are people also who move around and make deals and make a lot of confusion, and they also use some political powers that are around to get themselves over. When you look back, then you find these people have given us a wrong deal. So that is the concern. But on this rationalization, our main issue was, how do we treat the 3-year transition period? How do we answer? Do you pass the law now, and then it comes into force after 3 years within the law? Then I think we are good to go, because whatever you are putting here, you get there. And I think the objective, the purpose.
Option is either Parliament negotiates or we negotiate. You get what I mean? It can't be done both ways. You can't sit in a negotiation and then after that oversee the negotiation. You get what I mean? You can't. The roles are clearly separate. You allow us to do our work, then you come and do your work. Because if you go on the floor of Parliament and you can discuss and we come and say, okay, we've listened, and then maybe you lose a good investor in that process. What is so difficult with putting those concerns in writing? You have a committee, you receive them, we receive them, the record will be there that these concerns were raised with the Attorney General. What is the challenge with that? Because what I'm saying is that we do this, and maybe to say this, in the executive, we actually also have the best interest of the country at heart. So we are trying our best to do the best we can. So for you to say no, because for me there's a challenge, because my opinion in the Constitution is just an opinion and could be wrong. That's why I can give an opinion and it goes to court and the court says the Attorney General was wrong. It's just an opinion. But what I'm saying is that when we are doing these things, how we do them also matters. You cannot negotiate a contract as complex as this with 500 people. It's not possible, because that means you have 500 different views and understanding of the project. We never move. And whenever we've done that, we have collected the problem. Because, for example, for me, I don't think that was correct for the last Parliament to stop the SGS transaction, because we needed it. Now, we are paying because they took us to arbitration. We got nothing. So what did we benefit? All we had to do was sit down soberly and say, what are the challenges? Do we need this? Because for us, what we are asking here is, do we need the investment? So we all agree we need the investment. Now the question, on what terms do we get this what? This investment. That's what we are discussing. This term, this term, this term, this term, this term. So I think quieter, but like I said, for me that is just my advice. Like I said, it's just advice. You can put it in the committee, they can bring it to the thing, but definitely I don't think it adds any value to do that, because in our line of work we know that if I know your offer, I can make a better one. In law, we know that if I make an offer to you to buy your land for 1 million shillings, and the other person knows that and he really wants it, he can make a better offer of 1.1. So when people do these negotiations and we do the non-disclosure clauses and etc., is to protect their interests. You cannot get my deal, put it on the table, then call me to a competition with other guys. Because then the other guys know everything that I have offered. So it's what we are saying. But like I said, that the decision is for the committee, but that's the way I would do it. No. If you have any concerns, you would come, you would raise them with the ministry and say, we would like to have this conversation, because we are here. And we are happy to come to the committee too. Because like I said, in this space here, there is no state secret. We are on the same side of government. We put everything on the table. What are you saying here? But in the public space, you can be sure I'll just say, I have heard and I've kept quiet. That's all you'll get from me.
Attorney General, thank you. But I think for us, we keep on asking the ministry to update the committee on progress of some of the investments and activities they are doing. And that of UTL now, with the ROAD, is one of them on NBI, which they gave a report. And when the report was given, then we thought we also needed to give our opinion on that, because the world now, nothing is done in secret, like you have stated. We understand the function, separation of powers. Negotiation is a work of government, the executive. Oversight is parliament, including appropriation. But we want to think, when there is some issue, it's better we raise it earlier before we reach a stalemate. And I want to agree with you that if we have noticed anything, we put it in writing, we call you, and we engage. Because you tell me what happened with the SDS. Why couldn't we sit and say, where is the point of divergence between government and parliament, and then we get mitigation to those, and we proceed. So both government and parliament, I think, the ego was too much. Okay, let's abandon it, you abandon it. That was not very good. And that's not the best way of running government and dealing with these issues. Because if there's a problem, then a solution can be found, and then it is sorted. So I want to thank you for this. I think you have enriched our work in the process of processing the bill on the merger on mainstreaming NITA-U. That I think we are moving. We're also going to have opportunity to have public hearing for whoever has anything to say, to add or to subtract, to bring forward, so that by the time we are presenting, as committee, we would believe that we'll have done our best and not left anything out without considering, and then the parliament will take on the bill and the process. So I want to thank you, honorable members, and the Honorable Attorney General for the time and engagement. With nothing much discussed, I wish to adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Member of Parliament representing Kwania constituency and the Chairperson Committee on ICT and National Guidance. Now, you are aware, for almost 2 years we have been struggling with the issue of rationalization of government agencies, commissions, and boards. Now, one which is under our ministry is the bill on rationalization, mainstreaming National Information Technology Authority, Uganda, to the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. And you should be aware by now that in the first presentation, the committee recommended to Parliament that NITA-U should not be mainstreamed to the ministry, raising a number of issues, but one of them was the implementation of 2 projects, that is a digital acceleration, and then also the last mile connectivity of internet under phase 5. Now, when we had engagement with His Excellency, the President of Uganda, he recognized the importance of the impact of changing implementation arrangement of some of these projects, taking a leaf from Rural Electrification Agency, where there was a running project, and the moment it was mainstreamed to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, quite a number of activities stalled. There are many poles lying in many parts of the country that has not been put up. There were some procurements. We lost a lot of things. So with that, the President was able to agree on 2 entities, and one was Uganda Coffee Development Authority, and the other one is the National Information and that they be mainstreamed to their mother ministries, but be given a transition period of 3 years to set off these projects, or even to complete some of them, and then they can automatically get mainstreamed or rationalized. So as we met the Attorney General today, we were trying to engage him, because in the bill that was presented to Parliament and transmitted to the committee to process, there was no provision for transition. So we are engaging Attorney General, how do we cure that into the law? And what is the implication? Because we are going to pass a bill that if the President assents to, it becomes an act, but with a provision of transition for 3 years. So where would NITA-U operate? Would it operate under its current legal instruments, or it would operate under the new one that we are going to pass? So General was able to clarify that, yes, we are going to put a clause for commencement of operation of this bill, which we are going to pass on rationalization after 3 years. So after 3 years, then automatically NITA-U will be assumed to have been rationalized. But from now till the 3 years, they will operate under the current Act of NITA-U of 2009, and they will be performing their functions and duties normally with their board and with their technical people. So have handled today. The other one you were raising was on the contract between government of Uganda through Uganda Telecom Company and a company called ROWAD, investing together to ensure that they manage the national backbone infrastructure, they commercialize it, and then the revenue is shared according to the share percentage, government 40% and ROWAD 60%. Now, what I can tell you on that is that we are still, government is still at the stage of negotiation with the ROWAD on how the terms and conditions, which has not been completed. So as committee, we are only urging Attorney General to ensure that as they negotiate, they should ensure that government does not lose, like in other agreements that were signed initially, that governments end up losing. So we are trying to point issues to him that he should look into to ensure that while they go into that agreement, if the company does not have capacity, then governments do not get into agreement with them. Rather, instead, where possible, government would also put in an investment, first of all, to capitalize Uganda Telecom Company, then later on, because this NBI, all the internet, the network, which is last mile connectivity going across the whole country, means if a stronger and better company, and if a government company was running that, more revenue government would get. But because, you know, sometimes government would prefer to use funding from other private players to support its activity. So that is the negotiation, but nothing much has been done. But I am happy that through the Office of the Attorney General, they are being very conscious about throwing away to a private company. The issues that NITA-U has been doing, for example, licensing companies that are providing internet. So that function is now, then regulation, regulating companies on data protection, personal data protection. So all that is now going to be pushed to Uganda Communication Commission to ensure that they take over licensing, they take over providing certain regulations and also oversight on the internet and IT-related function, which was being done, so that government will only be handling the policy matter on digital transformation.